How are you?
Doing great in yourself.
Oh, I'm good. Just rehearsals and getting ready for tour and all the things. So,
Want to get into it all. Want to get into this headline tour and get into the album and let's start with the album. I'm always fascinated with how albums are made nowadays. It used to be band would go kind of hunker down in the studio for 3, 6, 7 months, knock out an album, and then COVID came around, and then people were doing albums from home, and now it's kind of a mismatch of recording here, recording there. Curious how this one came together for you.
yeah, the guys, Mackie and Sam specifically, they write pretty much all of the instrumentals. They would, send Dropbox links back and forth, remote at home. And then I live in Nashville, so there was a weekend where everybody came and they were in my guest room, which is we have a little studio set up. It's kind of pathetic, but we did a couple of writing sessions in there, but the majority of what we did was in the studio with Will itself. And we've had pretty much every record that we've ever done was a really isolating experience, which I personally think is really conducive to my writing process. Like the first record was during COVID lockdown. The second one we did in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. And this one was, at the top of a mountain during a snowstorm in New Jersey. So, yeah, it was, about 6 weeks of, not really seeing civilization and just being stuck up there. But yeah, doing the record.
That was my next question. Where did you record with Will? Because I know he's got the New Jersey house, and then I've heard he records in Joshua Tree, and so it was the New Jersey house.
Oh yeah, it was in his house in New Jersey.
Love it. And the thing I love most about your band truly is your lyrics. Your lyrics hit me a different way and bring out thoughts and emotions that I don't normally think about, but they always tend to hit me, whether it's the opening track or even like I don't want to be like you, like I don't belong here. If I persist out of spite, like I feel like that's my driving force in life. Like, oh, you said no, like I wouldn't be talking to you today if my mom was like, you're never going to be on the radio, and I was like,
Mm.
oh, okay. So that's kind of I really relate to your lyrics because I think I'm driven by that same energy as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think especially, being a woman in this industry and having such a different standard applied to me than to my male counterparts. I think that song was largely written about that feeling of just being like kind of feeling like you're never really good enough. You could be like, leaps and bounds better than, other male screamers, and people will still criticize you in a way that others don't get criticized. That's just honestly the truth. But so that song was largely written about that. It was also largely written about like, feeling this experience of like, where do I fit into this American society that, is so cruel to people now? And then also like, where do we fit in the industry? It's just kind of an all-encompassing, like very rage driven emotion in that song.
I love it. I love that. And nothing like use another one that really hits home for me. And you'll appreciate this. My parents, between the two of them, were only married for a couple years, but between the two of them, they were married like 11 times.
Oh, wow.
And so that was my driving force. Once again, I don't want to be anything like you. I want to make sure I get married once and that's it. And nothing like what they put me through.
Yeah, I think, you know, that song was, if you do know like the lore of Dying Wish and like the evolution of, you know, what I feel like is a healing journey for me from Fragments to SOS to writing a song like Nothing Like You. I do feel like I kind of closed the chapter on a lot of trauma that I initially only wrote about when I started the band. And so, yeah, it felt really good to be able to kind of like, for now, anyways, like feel like I have kind of ended that chapter of, you know, needing to process that. And it was just written about like in my worst moments of, depending on alcohol and stuff like that. to get through life and to survive. Like I feel like I inherited that from a parent, and I didn't want to live like that anymore. So
No, it's group therapy, and I appreciate you giving me
it
that
is.
therapy. And speaking of your voice, you had mentioned that earlier about being critiqued about your voice. I was listening to the album recently, and I'm not gonna lie, I did have some tequila in me, but I was talking to my buddy about your album as we were listening to it, and I said, most people when they have a scream, there's kind of an emotion attached to it. And I feel like for whatever reason, when you scream, I feel like it's a tongue lashing. Like I'm being lectured on like what I did wrong.
Good. Um, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I just really want like if you've seen us live, like we're just such like an energetic band, and like I try to, really like put all of myself and the emotion into it, and I wanted that to relate on record. And I'm really happy about my vocal performance on this record. I think that, you know, one of those things that I persisted out of spite on was people used to say that I didn't have range. And so this vocal performance is like every little bit of my vocal range that I do have, and I wanted to prove, that I could live up to the place that I'm at, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, as we talk about the scream, we definitely got to talk about the clean singing as well, especially like Moments I Regret and Flesh Stays Together, the title track. Tons of clean, beautiful singing on that.
Yeah, thank you. The title track is one of my favorite. We're actually performing it on the headliner.
Nice.
Um, and I'm so excited to sing a song like that live. That's one of my favorite songs melodically that I've ever written. So,
Almost feels like that's like the next step is a fully clean sung song.
no, I mean, we've been like the trajectory of this band as we, through every release, we have implemented more um clean singing. And I think after SOS, I was like, it wasn't enough. Like I want to do more. And then on this record, I feel like this is the cap of the amount of singing that we're going to do. And I could even foresee like, in the future just I don't know, switching it up. And I think it would be really funny after this release to just do like a release that is only screams. Um but we'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I love it either way. And speaking of vocals, I feel like Sam getting a little bit more on this album.
Yeah, Sam has always kind of been our backup guy. Pedro has some really awesome moments. He got his kind of vocal debut on Watch My Promise Die on the last record, and he has some moments on this song or this record. Everyone has such a unique voice, so we have four microphones across the front of the stage, and everyone does vocals except Jeff. And yeah, I love that we can do that.
Yeah, and it just brings more texture to the sound, more different sounds he can incorporate, kind of keeps your ears opening and guessing a little bit more. And, speaking of the tour, I certainly want to get into that. And we got you coming through SoCal, our neck of the woods, going to be in LA at the Regent Theater on December 9th. Kind of curious, are you going to be playing 3, 4 of these new songs in the set?
At least, probably more like five or six off the top of my head. I can't remember, but yeah, five or six new ones.
Awesome, awesome.
Actually, yeah, no, we do. I Don't Belong Anywhere. We do Curse Upon Iron. I'll Know You're Not Around, Revenge and Carnage. We do Surrender Everything, and then we do the title track towards the end. So.
Looking forward to hearing all of it live. Going to be great to see all that. And hell of a lineup you put together for this one, too. Static Dress, Gouge Away, Orthodox, and Bolt Cutter.
Yeah, no, I think we just wanted to do something really different. We could have really easily put together a tour package where every band kind of sounds like us, and you have a little bit of us in every element of every band, but every band is so different. And yeah, we're really excited. Bolt Cutter is a band from Oregon, where we're from. Orthodox, obviously, a big up and comer in the scene. Gouge Away, friends of ours personally for a long time. A band that I've loved for years and years since, I first started the band. And then Static Dress, who are just like an amazing complimentary direct support choice. So it should be a really awesome show.
Yeah, Static Dress, I mean, completely different sound than the rest.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they have like kind of a nostalgia factor that we have leaned into as well. It's just different. And yeah, no, I think it's awesome.
And I'm kind of curious. You've been touring for a while now. When you come through Southern California, is there any like must-haves? You're like, I got to get some good tacos while I'm in town, or is there anything that you kind of have to do or go to when you come through SoCal?
Yeah, weird answer. I love Phil's coffee.
Ah, okay.
Phil's is always a must. It's just easy because they have the English muffin vegan breakfast sandwich that I love. And then they do the mint mojito that I love as
Yeah.
well. Um, I mean, it depends on what part of LA that you're in, but like obviously you got to get Mexican food. Um, and yeah, it's there's some good coffee staples down there as well.
Love the Phil's coffee, and yeah, dude, they always have like cool different coffee styles and stuff that they're doing. Always mixing up the menu there.
Hmm.
Last time you rolled through, I think not too long ago on tour with Poppy, and talk about a different audience and playing in front of a different audience. I'm curious how that went for you, and if you scared half of her audience.
Um, well, there were some shows where, we encourage a lot of crowd participation, and I think anyone who goes to the show just for Poppy and doesn't know who we are, they're more likely to kind of hunker down at the front of the barricade, and then, you know, people start crowd surfing, and I've seen some tears, but the majority of her fans are, I mean, they're one of the most diverse crowds I've ever seen, but very open-minded. So it was really great for us, and we received a lot of love on the tour, which was great.
When you go out on a tour like that with a band pretty different than you, do you kind of tailor the set list towards the audience you think you're going to have, or are you just like, hey, this is us, take it or leave it?
Um, yeah, we did have Revenge and Carnage on the set list, and we just decided it was way too like heavy and groovy of a song. So we took it off. But we try to, no matter like what tour we're doing, just like give the best representation of who we are as a band. So that, people know what they're getting into when they see us live.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's cool about you guys will play with anyone. I remember when you opened with for Limp Bizkit a few years ago, it's like you're just like bring it anything anyway, don't matter.
Yeah, I think that's something that we've always thought makes us really special is that, we have so many different elements that we could really just appeal to everyone, and or anyone, not everyone, but yeah, it's all about energy. So
Emma, appreciate all the time. Last thing I wanted to hit you with, no way to not say it. I just talked to Jeremy recently, and exactly had the big wedding over the past year, and I'm kind of curious because I know from when I got married, my wife planned everything from beginning to end. Did it all go the way you dreamed it would happen? Did everything go according to plan?
it was beautiful. It was perfect. My only complaint is that it went by too fast, and I think everyone says that, but yeah, it was incredible. Everything we asked for. So.
Did you feel like that like emptiness kind of in a way? It's so much planning for years, and then it happens in the blink of an eye, and then you wake up the next morning and you're like, wait, it's gone. Like, what do I have to?
Yeah.
I feel like there's something I have to do for the wedding, even though it's gone now. Like, what do I do?
Yeah, it was like a little shocking. But we put off our honeymoon until early next year because of our schedules. So, I think we're still kind of like having these realizations of like, oh my God, we're married. And so, once we get to do the honeymoon next year, I think it'll finally feel like real. But yeah, that's the cherry on top.
It's funny when talking to Jeremy. He was like, he made the comment. He's like, anyone that thinks my album isn't too heavy, go listen to Emma's. It's plenty heavy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I have a rule where I don't read the comments, but I've seen comments of people like saying that, they don't like it, that the new Prada record isn't as heavy, and they want to blame me for some reason. And I'm like, I mean, how can that possibly be true? Because, we make heavier music than Prada these days. But yeah, it's a funny thing.
Speaking of Prada for a second, it was great. I got to say hi to you and Jeremy last year at the House of Blues at Anaheim when they played there, and you got to jump out on stage for a few and do a song. And speaking of voices, like we were talking about earlier about your scream, I know we got to give love to Jeremy and his clean singing and everything, but I really love Prada for Mike and his scream. And I always feel like when he screams, it's like a guy getting stuck with a knife and the knife being turned as he's screaming. And that's what I love about his scream.
Yeah, I mean, he is a loud screamer, which I've always respected people who scream loud, especially when they've been doing it for 20 years. Um, he's such an iconic voice, it's his voice is so unique, and I think it's really cool, when people have a very like signature sound. And yeah, he's one of the greatest to ever do it.
Now we
And
just
Jeremy's great too, I guess, but yeah.
He's all right. He's all right at
Yeah.
what he does. But I do love their new record, and I keep dreaming that one day there'll be an actual collab between both bands on record, since that seems to be the trendy thing nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like it'll happen eventually, but the timing has to be right for sure.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you for a brilliant album, and I can't
Thank
wait for the
you.
show at the Regent in LA.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll see you in like a few weeks.
Yeah, coming up quickly here. Safe travels until then.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Emma. Bye bye.
Bye.